All right. So yesterday I did a stream with the new Marathon interactive live stream setup, name not final, by the way. And I just realized that it was probably confusing for some. So I'm making this tutorial to help better explain it. I do have a TLDR, which I'm gonna quickly go over. So essentially, whenever a marathon stream is going on, you can use the dive command before each run to join in a queue. And you can use the extract command while you're in this queue to collect your currently earned but not unsafe fragments. Um, Essentially, the longer you're in this queue during the run, you build up unsafe fragments. You can use extract to save the unsafe fragments at whatever number it's at right now, or right when you use the command, or you can wait until the end of a successful extraction to get all you know, the fragments that way. Failed runs lose all unsafe fragments, meaning that if you don't extract and the run has failed, you basically lose everything. Use bank to save your unsafe fragments. It is recommended that you bank a lot, especially after every successful run that you have, even if you use the extract command early. The faction command, you can use it to set where you bank your unsafe fragments. Everyone starts with an independent bank, and you can change it to be CyberAcme, Traxxas, MITA if you really want to. You can transfer the fragments from one bank to another. I put credits there because I'm a dummy, but it is from the faction bank you type in to the faction you are currently associated with. So let's say you are a part of Sekiguchi and want to transfer from the Nukal bank, then you would do transfer Nukal, not the other way around. To transfer the Nukal balance into the Sekiguchi balance, it does require a second argument, and that second argument is a number of how many credits you wish to transfer. You can use upgrade and downgrade to upgrade, downgrade your shell and their parameters. Everyone has a quote-unquote shell with 5 different resource or 5 different values: HP, attack, defense, shields, and regen. And you can gain more fragments by extracting early or on successful runs. You do lose the bonus multiplier if you don't extract on a failed run. That's pretty much the TLDR. If you're just here for that, you can go right ahead, go back to the Marathon interactive live stream and just start diving and extracting. But if you want to see this technical breakdown here, stick around for the rest of the video. I do have a sort of outline here. Essentially, dive, extract, runs in general. What are fragments? What are they used for? Factions, fragments, banking, transfers, all that. Shells, upgrades, downgrades, and attacking other players, which is the thing you can do. But I will explain all that in the technical breakdown. So let's just talk about runs in general, shall we? Runs in Marathon usually last about 25 minutes, and there is a system that we coded to show you how long or how many fragments you have collected. And it can be seen right here. It's sort of in the bottom left. Just ignore this footage. It's just me fooling around with a bot that I found in the server slam. But essentially, during a run, the timer will start to fill up, as you can see in the bottom left. This number represents the number of fragments that have been collected. Those who have typed in the dive command before the run can build up these fragments, and you can type extract to essentially gain all the fragments back on the screen. So right now we're at 25 fragments. If you just type in extract, you'll receive 25 fragments, plus whatever the multiplier is, but I will get to that later. That being said, if you wait until the full end of a run, you can get upwards of 1,500 fragments. I believe it's 60 fragments per minute, 25 minutes, 1,500. And of course, there's the final 1 minute for the final exfil, which there's a bit of grace period. The recharge rate for fragments is 0.975 seconds. It's not entirely 1 second because I do have to account for some leeway, but it is enough where you don't even have to wait the full 25 minutes. if you want 1500, but it is somewhat close by to that amount. So, yeah. Essentially, when you dive and extract, like, one's going to be active, one's not going to be active. And we do have a thing here. So let's say that the fragments are safe. It will turn green, and you can see you will gain 94 fragments because of that successful exfil. Now, the one thing you have to keep in mind is that everyone gets the fragments that are banked on a successful exfil. But if you type in the extract command, that's the number that will... The number at the bottom left will be how many fragments you get. And obviously, if the fragment is lost, like on a failed run, it turns red. It's supposed to turn red, but it sort of looks black on the screen, but it is red. And there is a chat message that says blank has lost everything that you can see right here. Obviously, because no one is in, it will just show a random box. That's completely intentional. Yeah. So essentially, how this works is we set up a system, right? It's hotkeys. The begin extraction hotkey will deactivate the dive command, activate the extract command. It will set the extraction time to 0, and it will change this custom variable to in-game. And I believe I do have the custom variable expression here. Yep. Just ignore some of these. These are kind of whatever. But this gets turned to true. And I think... Okay, no, there are no expired variables. Yes, this one gets turned to true. And it doesn't expire. And the action is always set. During this, while in-game is true, there's a timer going. If the in-game variable, if this custom variable in-game is true, it will update the extraction timer by 1 every 0.975 seconds. There is a counter. It is called extraction timer. And every time it updates, it changes the overlay. That's what this is. Because the overlay is this, a potential points bar. And of course, it's not going to look one-to-one. There are a bunch of filters on it. But that's essentially how it works. Using the dive command gives you a role called runner active. I can close this for now. It will give you a role called runner active. It will give you a small amount of region points to your shields, and I can explain that all later. You'll also set your max shields, and there's a command here to make sure that you don't go over the shields. Again, I'm going to explain all that later. Using the extract command, we'll run a couple checks. If you don't have the role, it basically tells you you did not participate in this run. Too bad, so sad. Better luck next time. If you do have the role, it will give you the amount in the counter. It won't give you the full amount. Then it will give you an exfil multiplier multiplied by the global exfil multiplier. I just realized that's wrong. No, okay. So yes, there are two different multipliers here, and I will explain both of those. It will delay for a second, and then it will remove your runner active role to prepare you for the next run. One thing to keep in mind, if you do the dive command, and you do extract, the dive command will not reopen until either the extraction has failed or succeeded. If it succeeded, it will obviously do the toggle again. It will do the fancy filters. It will set the custom variable to false so that the timer stops ticking. It will wait about 5 seconds, to account for stream delay. It will give everyone with the runner active role the extraction timer plus the exfil multiplier plus global exfil multiplier. This might break, so I think we're just gonna do global exfil multiplier. So essentially, if you wait until the end, there is no guarantee that you get the exfil multiplier because, again, everyone's exfil multipliers will be different. So we're just gonna do that. Make our life simple. So yeah, it will give everyone that number plus the global exfil multiplier. It will give one exfil multiplier to everyone in the roll. We'll wait about a second. It will clear everyone from runner active. Wait about another 5 seconds. Set the extraction time to 0. Toggle the filters. Set potential points to 0, and we do it all again. A failed extraction does the toggle, does the fancy filters, does the variable, does the delay. However, everyone's unsaved fragments, if they have not banked it, is set to 0. And there is an array here called custom role users. It is an array of all the user display names in the specified custom role. And the role here is actually wrong. I'm going to change it to runner active. There we go. I'm doing live debugging. It will set the exfil multiplier to 1 for everyone in the role, just basically resetting everything. It will clear the roles. It will set the extraction type to 0. Yada yada yada. You get the point. There is a down system that I have, which is just a fancy filter. So I can actually do it now. If it will work, probably not, because I'm still in the hotkey screen on Firebot. Actually, I think it broke. Yeah, I definitely think it broke. But anyway, this is what the filter looks like. If it will load. It's thinking about it. I've been recording for 12 minutes. Probably does not like me. But, yeah. When it does work, yep, you can kind of see it. It is glitching a little bit, so I am gonna turn it off. Hopefully the recording caught it. I can't tell. Is there a way to... Hold on, if I pause this, does that actually help? I wonder. But yeah, if it does that glitch effect, it basically just means I'm down. I'm not dead because it hasn't turned red yet. So you have to be careful about that. One thing to keep in mind. It will not work if the extract command is off. I made sure of it. So, I'm actually going to toggle those filters off. And we're going to head back. So you might be asking yourself, well, what the heck is exfil multiplier and global exfil multiplier? I am going to sort of pseudo-explain that in this next section here that I have on the outline. What are fragments? What are they used for? Fragments are basically the currency. I have 23 of them. During runs, you can bank unsaved fragments. There is no limit, and you can bank as much as you want. But in order to save those fragments and not lose them, you have to do the bank command. This will essentially transfer all of your fragments into the faction that you are a part of. And you can change the faction at any time by typing in faction into one of these. Like we have Syak, Traxxas, Arachne, all of them. Even though there are 6 factions in the original game, there's a 7th here. You can type in faction leave. It will remove all of your different roles. And of course, if you don't have any to begin with, it will just say you don't even have a faction. What are you doing, mate? But if you did have a faction for it, it will remove everything. It will tell you you've left the faction. And that's that. Using the bank command will automatically trigger this conditional effects list. It will check to see what role you have. Like, let's say I have New Caloric, where it will give your unsaved fragment amount to your New Caloric bank. And this is set up for every faction. Like Mida has their own Mida bank, and the independent role, like if you don't have a faction, you have your own independent bank. It will also give you experience, And that is a whole nother ballpark that I will talk about later. It will wait up for about a second, and then it will set your unsaved fragments to 0, so you can't just, spam the command. Now, let's say you want to transfer your credits. Like, let's say you're in Sekiguchi, and you want to transfer your credits out of Sayak to Sekiguchi. You need to do, in order to do that, you need to do transfer Sayak, not transfer Sekiguchi. The command specifically states transfer fragments from a section factions bank to the bank you are connected to. So since you are connected to Sekiguchi, you have to type in transfer Sayak. If you try to do transfer Sekiguchi thinking, oh, I'm going to transfer my Sekiguchi saying this is the target. No, other way around. And we even have a check here saying if you have the rule Sekiguchi, and if you have the rule Sekiguchi and you input the Sekiguchi subargument, it will tell you you can't transfer credits from a bank you're already part of. Because that would be money laundering. Which, while encouraged, is not recommended for at least this stream. So yeah. So you need to do transfer, Sayak, and there is one additional art count. This number is essentially useful for the number of credits you have to have. If you don't input a number, it will most likely break. I have not tested that. So if you transfer it to Sekiguchi, it will remove the number from your Sayak bank and give it to you in the Sekiguchi bank. That is how it works. And fragments, they're pretty useful. I do have an idea on what I want to use it for, but it's not ready yet. Not in the slightest. I've kind of covered factions, I've kind of covered fragments, I've kind of covered banking, and I've kind of covered transfers in this section. So let's talk about, like, shells, upgrades, downgrades, attacking. You kind of see these 3 items here: upgrade, downgrade, attack. What are they used for? Well, it's not your unsaved fragments. That's completely different. It is your XP. So I kind of brushed over this earlier, but whenever you do bank something, you get XP equal to the number of unsaved fragments. And the more XP you gain with this XP ladder, every time you rank up, you will get, if I can find it in here, you will get 1 upgrade point. This upgrade point can be used with the upgrade command to trigger one of 5 different subcommands, like HP, ATK, like attack, defense, shields, and your shield regen rate. I can explain all of them, and we actually do have calculations. It's all in here. So yeah, there is an XP total as to how much XP you need for the next level. Like, everyone starts at level 0. There's no debating that. It's 600 XP for the first level, so about a 10-minute run. 660 for the next, and it essentially increases by 10% for every level. If that helps. All the way down to level 60. 60 is the maximum. You cannot go higher than that. So, when you have an upgrade point, you can do, oh, I want to do an upgrade into attack. It will upgrade your attack stat by 10%. It does run a check saying, have you used 60 upgrade points? If so, you have to downgrade a stat first. But if you haven't used all of it, it will give 1 attack point to the user. It will add 1 to your upgrade point used count, and it will remove the upgrade point for you. It will wait about a second, then it will set your attack to this equation, which is basically just how much attack do you have, multiplied by 1.1, work from there, essentially. And downgrading does have sort of the opposite effect. So let's say you want to downgrade defense. If you don't have any upgrade points used, it will tell you No stats to downgrade, please. No stats to downgrade, please upgrade a stat first. And obviously, if you do have an upgrade point, at least one invested, it will basically refund the upgrade point to you. One thing that you could do is you could fully max out your ATK to be like 10,000 or something to instantly like kill someone that's like 120. That is the thing you can do. And I'm gonna talk about attacking later. But at the same time, if you max out everything, you are also leaving yourself at 120 HP, very low shields, very low shield regen rate, very low defense. And it's kind of important. So I do want to try and explain like how this all works, and I'm going to. But for what you want, I'd say aim for about level 12 for each. Like that's the expected level that we predict people will want to stop at. Like level 12 across the board. You could go to level 20 in like a couple categories, level 30, but of course it's a game of risk reward. Like what do you want to sacrifice? Do you want more defense? Do you want more shields? Like how does that work? And while we're on the subject, let's talk about the attack command. So the attack command is a hidden command. You will only know about this if you watch the technical breakdown. Other people will have to learn of this themselves. So you may only attack one player per stream. It is a thing. You can only attack it one per stream. Every user gets one attack. Eliminated players cannot target anyone. And I can explain what that means in a little bit. So, there are no subcommands, there are no advanced options. Everything rests in this one conditional effect. If you don't select a target, meaning if you use the attack command and you don't tag someone, you wasted your attack, tag someone next time, meaning you have to wait until next stream to try and attack someone. If you enter too many arguments, like if you enter in if you say attack name and then try to give like a reason, Firebot will break and say you wasted your attack, you may only attack one person at a time. If you tried to attack one person and added a message at the end, it treated that as a separate argument and gave you this error. I think we are working on a fix for this, but we're gonna wait a little and see like how people use this. Blame Firebot programming or tag Castle when I'm not in a game to request for a refund refresh. That is a thing I can do. Just notice it's missing a parenthesis, but that is a thing I can do. But you have to contact me when I'm not in game. There's also a thing here where if the user does not exist in Firebot's system, and we can check this because Firebot does keep a list of everyone that's in here, and I can see like how many unsaved fragments I have. There's the 94 from earlier. The HP, defense, shields, regen, all that. How many points you have, like your max shields, your exfil multiplier. We get all that info. If the user does not exist in Firebot's system, it will actually tell you that user does not exist in the digital consciousness yet. They don't exist in Firebot's system. If all of these three conditions have not been met, it will move to the first routine. The first routine sets you as the runner attacking. It will set your target to runner defend. It will wait about 0.2 seconds, so that's about a fifth of a second, enough time to process. Then it will run this command. If the defense value of the target is greater than or equal to your attack value, it will completely negate the attack. So what this means is it may be wise to invest some points into attack. Like A level 7 defense can beat a level 0 ATK. And a level 60 defense can beat level 55 attack. Like, it's not too hard to do. The defense is roughly about half of the ATK. It's not exactly half, but it is roughly half. So there is some option. And as you can see here, the gap does close quite a little bit. Like, there is a pretty significant gap. So if your target has a higher defense stat, your attack is negated completely. GG's. But if your attack is higher than your opponent's defense, which is pretty happenstance, like you do start with your attack higher than your opponent's defense at level 0, it will do the following. It will set your attack data, like your attack value, as runner attack data. It will set your opponent's shields value, shields are important, to runner block data. Then it will run a third routine. If the shield value is greater than your attack value, it will damage your target's shields by your attack amount. Like, let's say you deal 56 damage, right? But your opponent has like 91 shields. It will remove 56 from your opponent's shields. Like, that is damage. That is damage. That is more than we can ask for. That is damage. However, it is not enough to deal anything substantial. As it will tell you, shield damage confirmed, shield is not broken. If it's greater than that though, and this is usually the case, like here, pretty much if you're always maxed out, like no matter what level, the shield damage will always be under the attack value. So as long as your attack value isn't like lower than their shield value, so we do predict defense and shields could be important. As long as your attack value isn't underneath those two rows, you'll do some damage. It will do a runner damage data custom variable where it will take your attack value and your target's shield value, and that will be your true damage value. It will break your target shields, so they'll be left at 0. And your HP will be the damage value, the true damage value of your target. It will do a whole bunch of conditional effects. So if your target's HP value is still above 0, it will send a message saying shield break confirmed. Damage also confirmed, but not fatal. Basically, you attacked your target, you managed to break their shields. Congratulations. And you did some damage to their HP. Shields can regenerate, HP cannot. Keep that in mind. If your target's HP is less than or equal to 0, that's a kill confirmed, baby. And a lot happens here, as you can tell. I'm going to break this down. So, your target gets a special runner kill rule. This means they cannot participate in any runs whatsoever. Like, they can't use the dive command, they can't use the extract command. They are essentially locked out of the season for the rest of the season. Seasons last about 3 months, of course. They are removed from runner active if they are currently in the middle of like a run. We wait about 2/10 of a second. All of their stats are set to 0. Their upgrade points are set to 0. And their upgrade points used are set to 0. You then steal half of their unsaved fragments. You don't steal the stuff that's in their bank, but if they do have unsaved fragments, you steal that. we are actually going to add another delay here before we get into the conditional effects. If you have, like, Cyberacne, this essentially checks to see what faction you're a part of, because there are a few bars that we have to talk about. And actually, we're going to do that now, because I have the thing up for it. This is a faction bounty board. If it sounds confusing, don't worry, it is. Essentially, what this is from left to right, the 6 factions are Cyberacme, Nucleoric, Traxxas, Sekiguchi Genetics, Mida, and Arachne. When you kill a user, it will update, it will add half of their unsaved fragments to the respective bar. Each bar at the end of a season represents how many fragments in your bank you get to keep at the end of a season. Doesn't matter, like, if you have 10, 20, 30, 50, doesn't matter. As long as it's under the limit, everyone keeps their fragments up until that limit. That being said, if I switch back here, there is something for independent runners. The independent bar. The independent bar is sort of a cutoff point, where if you have less than the independent limit, you still lose those fragments. It's sort of like a tax. So the factions have they have their 6 bars here, like left to right. Like, let's say Nucleoric has 500,000. I don't know, I'm just making up numbers, but the independent bar is set to 200,000. Everyone in the Nucleoric faction will keep up to 500,000 of their fragments in their bank. If you go over, it's lost. However, the independent bar then looks over and takes all from all the factions. So it's sort of like a tax. So in reality, you're only at 300,000 to keep for the rest of the season. It's a bit crazy. It is a bit rude, but I think it does help out balance stuff. Your XP for the target is set to 0. We wait about 2 seconds. It will basically reset your HP points for your target. You actually set your values to basically reset them back to their default values. We wait about 0.2 seconds, and then we just clear the unsaved fragments from your target. And that's that. You may notice that there is a delay at the end of everything. That just helps give Firebot time to process everything. At the end of everything, all of the data is cleared, like runner damage data set back to 0. The runner attack data, runner block data set back to 0. And the rules of runner attack and runner defend are cleared. That's the attack command. You will only know about it if you've watched the tutorial. And then there's this raid command down here. I'ma be real, we don't have the stuff ready for it yet. Getting this thing set up took well over 3 months. The raid command can wait until we're ready. I'm gonna be real. So yeah. Right, the exfil multipliers. So, one thing I sort of glanced over was that if you use the extract command, you get 1 added to your exfil multiplier. And I sort of changed this with everyone else if it's a successful extraction, because we're not going to be able to add 1. Right? Actually, hold on. I think I can... Okay, no, everyone does get 1 exfil multiplier. But it can't be, like, used here. The exfil multiplier, there are 2 different types. There's your personal exfil multiplier. Then there's the global exfil multiplier. The global exfil multiplier is for everyone. Like, it multiplies for everyone. And this can be increased by subscribing. Different tiers have different exfil amounts. Like a tier 1 increases it by 0.5. A tier 2 increases it by 1. A tier 3 increases it by 2.5. A prime sub increases it by 0.5. Cheering bits on Twitch increases it by a small amount. So if essentially every point on the global exfil multiplier is essentially $10. So if you cheer like 300 bits, that's 0.3 added to the global exfil multiplier. With that logic, if you donate a weird amount, like let's say 865, this number is going to increase by 8.65. Or if you only donate like 123 bits, it will only increase by 0.123. We keep track of that. Gifted subs, I believe each one increases it by 0.5. And donations, we have two here. We're sort of debating between Tippy Stream and Streamlabs, but regardless of what it is, it basically follows the same system as cheering, with every dollar contributing to about 0.1 to the global exfil multiplier. The global exfil multiplier does not reset in between runs. It does not reset in between streams. It does reset in between seasons. Meanwhile, your personal exfil multiplier resets on failed runs at the end of a season, but it does not reset between streams. And I added this max shields here today because there was an issue with one of these commands here. I think I deleted it, but essentially there was a problem where we had an old behavior with the shield regen value, where every time you chatted in a new stream, it would reset your shields back to 0, and that would be less than ideal. So now we added this max shields currency. It essentially looks at your shield points, does the standard calculation. Then it does a conditional effect where if your shield value is greater than your max shields value, it puts you right back to the max shields value for your shields. That's all it does. That is all it does. And the last thing I want to do is tell you about this intel command, where it essentially looks at your role. It's the same for all the roles. The only thing that's different is like telling you what faction you're in. But it tells you your unsaved fragments, your Syak bank, your New Cow bank, your Traxxas bank. Basically every single bank under the sun. It also tells you your available upgrade points, your HP, ATK, defense, regen, and your current exfil multiplier. And with that is the technical breakdown. These commands can be used on twitch.tv/actualcastle, and I really hope you enjoy the system that I've spent 3 months making, probably longer. No, yeah, it has been longer because I wanted to do this and then we had a PC trouble. So I've been working on this technically for over a year. Oh my god, that feels way too long, man. That feels way too long. When the raid function is available, we will let you know. There is a Discord for the marathon streams separate from my personal Discord. And of course, we're gonna link that down in the description. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything. I've got a lot to work on, especially in regards to like the raid stuff. Oh yeah, channel rewards are broken, by the way. I'll fix them eventually. Alerts are also broken. Like, I am basically doing this all on a new scene profile, not the mainstream profile that I use, just completely new separate stream profile. So I'm gonna have to fix like most of these. Don't you worry, it will be done. Uh, one more thing I need to say. No marathon streams on Sunday. That is for data collection and making sure that everything is synchronized. Because we actually have a system, or at least working on one, where we can just do this. Like, we can export it as a CSV, but we're not going to. At least not until the season ends. So yeah, that's your technical breakdown. I really hope people like this. We have a bunch of different like effect cues to help mitigate things. The main ones are extractions for the runs, dive, extract, factions and builds for like build crafting, like calculations, XP, PvP for attacking other players, and player setup for basically setting up a player whenever they join. That's it. That's everything. Oh, there's also an ongoing raid message lockdown. I'm not going to spoil too much about raids, but when it's done, we really hope that people enjoy this. So, yeah, once again, the stream link is twitch.tv/actualcastle. You can kind of see it up here when I did my test. And yeah, hope to see you in the marathon streams.